first name, title, how you spell it?
Wayne Anderson, W-A-Y-N-E-A-N-D-E-R-S-O-N. I'm Sheriff of Sullivan County.
Okay. Can you talk to me about the very first question that was brought up today, that of school security in Sullivan County. Can you talk to me about the ways you plan to continue improving school security within the county?
We work on school security every day. I mean, we have training for schools, and we've got a safety officer in the school that we're working on. We're going to continue doing that. I'm a little leery about teachers having guns because I think there's such a tremendous liability with that the teachers themselves, once they find out about the liability, I don't know that they'd want that position, to carry a gun into school. But I think that's what trained officers, that's what we're trained for, to take care of active shooters. And I think that's the best way to go in the schools, have an SRO in every school.
Okay. Jail overpopulation, obviously something that Sullivan County is having to deal with. What measures do you think can be brought in that would help ease that problem?
Well, we're always working on that, but when you look at the court systems are so overloaded right now, and it's hard to get people through the courts so we can get them to prison. And then the ones that stay in Sullivan County that's committed misdemeanors, we can keep those. But we're bogged down, and it's just like a drain that's stopped up, and they keep coming. We can't send them anywhere else but keep them where they're at.
Do you think there are any efficiencies that could be worked out between the Sheriff's Department and the court system to try to help ease their burden?
Well, we tried that, and we work with them very closely. And we've got a day worker program that we're working on right now to start as soon as the county commission would give us approval. We're in the budget process. And that maybe take 40 inmates that would not be in jail, and they'd be out here working on the street. They come in and work with an officer or somebody. It's an old program we used to have, and it worked great. And for whatever reason, it was done away with, not by me, but it's done away with by the county. But we're trying to revive that program, and that'll help get 40 or 50 people out of that jail that'll be out here working.
Okay. As far as the lawsuit that you had to bring against the county, can you talk to us about why you felt that was necessary and where you feel the funding is now for the Sheriff's Department?
I think funding now has improved since the lawsuit. I think what we won in that lawsuit has really been a big help to us. As far as the lawsuit, that's something I really didn't want to do. And I love a lot of the commissioners up there. We get along, but sometimes you just run into these walls that you can't get around, and we ran into that wall. But over the years, over the 20 years, we've had a lot of funding. They've helped us out, and now they're continuing to work with us. I can work with them, and I think they're willing to work with me now. I think you'll see a whole new scene as far as the county commission and sheriff's office. I think you'll see a big difference.
So do you expect this next year's budget to be maybe a little bit more friendly?
Oh yeah, it'll be a lot more friendly. I think we'll all work together this next year. I think it'll work out great.
Okay, I think that's good, unless there's anything else you want to add? And what your current title is?
I am Joe Earls, Joeearles, and I'm currently retired from the Kingsport Police Department.
Okay. One of the very first questions brought up today, that about school security. Can you give me quickly the top 2 or 3 things that you believe need to be done to improve school security in the county?
Well, if we can get, metal detectors are great for schools. If the county can afford that, that would be great. Putting more officers into the schools would be another big plus, and just having tabletops and letting teachers know what's going to happen when it comes down to an active shooter, that would be a big plus.
One of the other issues brought up today during the forum, that of jail overpopulation. Currently, Sullivan County Jail is, I think, about 100 to 150 overpopulated. What would you do as sheriff in order to try to ease that problem within the jail?
Well, they're going to have to expand the jail. Okay, there's no way around it. They're either going to have to build an expansion or they're going to have to build a new jail, and those are the two ways, and probably the only ways that you're going to ease that jail problem.
Okay. One of the things you talked about was bringing leadership and allowing the officers to tell administration, what do you need? What kinds of specific efficiencies and improvements do you think you can bring to the department that would help improve both the service to the community and the morale of the officers?
Well, what I was talking about is bringing the officers in and letting them tell me what problems they have in the department. But they need to bring a solution along with that. If we do that, then that means that we're both communicating, and communication is big in the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office. They need to talk. They need to be able to communicate between each other. The citizens, same way. If somebody has a problem, they want to communicate it to the sheriff, they need to bring it to them. Sometimes the citizens have solutions, sometimes they don't, but that's another hand.
Okay. Anything else that you want to add or talk about?
Well, just the sheriff's office needs to come together. They need to be one big happy family. Right now, I don't think they're too happy, but we're going to try to fix that if I'm elected to sheriff.
Okay, awesome. I think that's good. Title, how you spell it?
I'm Matt Austin. I'm operations major for the Bristol, Tennessee Police Department.
Okay.
Candidate for sheriff of Sullivan County.
Okay. One of the first issues brought up today, that about school resource officers and how we improve security in the Sullivan County schools. Can you talk to me about what your plan is as sheriff to improve security?
But again, it comes down to saying we've got to bring all the stakeholders together to work together to come up with a comprehensive plan. And again, working with a school security or school safety program, just like we do in Bristol, has meetings that we bring all these people together, the principals, the teachers, law enforcement around the area, to be able to look at what we can do in a design, not just in the physical sense, but the design of the schools and what we can do to improve access to, that we can create that safety barriers to work together to create a safer zone for our children and our teachers.
Another issue brought up today, that of jail overpopulation. Currently, Sullivan County's jail is heavily overpopulated. Can you talk to me about your plan as sheriff in order to try to ease that burden on the jail?
Right. Again, what we need to do is look at it. If you look at on average, the number of, there's on average 131 inmates that are in jail just awaiting misdemeanor trials. There's 193 that are in jail right now because of misdemeanors. We need to look at it again to go look ahead and forward. The way we've been doing things in the past about build it and then build it again and then build it some more, each time those building projects get more expensive and more expensive. And doing that way, we've not solved the problem. It keeps getting bigger, and then we have to build bigger. What I'm saying is we need to come together and bring in all the stakeholders, that the community as a whole, to work together to get away from the traditional models and start to look at and study the new community programs that we can do to try to help these things. And again, the biggest thing is we've got to solve the problem of the recidivism, the revolving door, help them as they go through. Once we've got them, we got to do more than just house them. And those are the things that are going to help us do those things. $60 million building project doesn't going to solve it, because then as soon as we're done building it, we're going to have to come up with more money to build another one if we don't solve the problem. And I think I could bring the leadership to help solve this problem by bringing those stakeholders together and to start to work with those things in programs to end the recidivism.
What are the specific community programs that you think would be beneficial to helping lower recidivism?
Well, one of the things, and again, right now in Sullivan County, there's a great model that's already there that's showing such super results. And again, it was brought to us by Judge Goodwin, who's had the leadership to be able to bring this program together. And it's showing how, because of the majority, just like everybody's talking about, is our drugs are what's causing these things. So in that program, we've already got a model that he's shown us. He's took the leadership to bring that out, to show us a model that, hey, there is a way that we can help these people along while they're incarcerated. Not that we're just going to slap them on the wrist and go on, but we're going to work together as a community to help them become productive citizens. All we've got to do is look for the models and the leadership that's already been shown us. We've just got to be able to bring it together to expand those programs, because they're truly working and they're creating productive citizens. That's what's going to help stop the recidivism.
Okay. One of the things you talked about heavily in your time up there was being progressive and not just being stuck on the things that have been done for the past 20 years, constantly reevaluating. What are some of the specific things, and I know you didn't have a ton of time to talk about every specific you wanted to, but what are some of the specific things you're looking at as far as the budget and the structure where you think you might be able to make some improvements?
Okay, I think we can make improvements in the entire budget. I'm talking about every program the Sheriff's Department has, from the top when you're talking about personnel and the rank structure of where the moving personnel into different areas to create, to look at those priorities that you can build those where we're short and take away to blend different programs together to bring more response, all the way to how many vehicles, how many cars we have in Sullivan County. And again, if we reduce the number of the fleet, when we look at priorities, it's all about setting goals. And those goals are based on planning, strategic planning, that we can look not just to solve it today, but what we're going to do to solve it tomorrow, that we don't have another burden tomorrow, that we have to add more money. We need to look inside what we've got and make sure that the citizens of Sullivan County understand and trust that we're doing the very best that we can with what we have before we ask for more. And again, it's about cooperation, not about division and pointing fingers and saying they don't do that. We've got to work together to solve these problems, and they can be solved. I think with my leadership coming together, we can just get a breath of fresh air that's going to come in to be able to solve these issues.
Okay. Anything else that you want to add?
Just as saying is I hope and ask everybody to pray for me and my family and the other candidates that are running for this thing. We look at it as we come down that and I appreciate any support that I can get. I want to earn their vote in May 1st in the Republican primary. Thank you.
One of the first questions raised today, that about school security. Can you talk to me about what your plan as sheriff is to improve school security and ensure, that we don't have these kinds of situations that we've seen around the country?
Well, the protection of the children and the staff of schools in the community is my first and foremost priority. Of course, drugs is the second. But We need to get a safety committee together, and that's involving the criminal justice system, students, staff, have mock exercises, have tabletops, to let the children and the teachers know what's going on, how to respond to, say, a police officer does respond to school, what's to be expected. There's a lot of stuff that you can put measures in place that helps with protection during an active shooter. Eagle software, Hero 911, it's apps that communicate and let all the law enforcement know that there's an active shooter. Eagle software, if the sound of a fire, a gunshot goes off, it locks everything down right at once. So there's a lot of stuff, measures in place to take that you can implement. It's going to cost money, but if you think about it, we have measures in place for fires, tornadoes, and earthquakes. And the last time we lost a kid in a fire was 1958. We're starting to lose a lot of masses of children in active shooting in schools. So we need to take those measures towards them.
One of the other early questions about jail overpopulation. Sullivan County's jail is pretty heavily overpopulated at this time. As sheriff, what measures do you think you can take to try to ease that burden on the corrections facility?
Well, like I said in the debate today, a jail expansion may be necessary, okay? And it's going to be very expensive, $67 million. And once that jail is built, it's just like the last jail we just expanded on. It's going to be full. So we've got to come up with different measures that's proven, model at big agencies like Dyer and Davidson, Shelby County. I know they've got a community corrections grant right now that's providing community corrections assistance, getting these offenders, low-risk offenders, of course, back in society where they contribute. They get mental health counseling. They get drug addiction counseling. It also gets tax credit for employers to employ these people and give them jobs so they can be tax-paying citizens and also go back to their families. That way grandparents aren't raising their kids. But during that process of community corrections, they also help with career development, interview process, getting these guys how to interview for jobs and how to write resumes as well. You also got ankle monitoring. With the consolidation of this school, you also got a possibility of some schools closing that you could transform into a low security jail, like a DUI offender or a weekender. So there's a lot of avenues we can take without just saying, hey, we've got to spend $67 million on a new jail.
One thing I believe you mentioned was that there are some liabilities that would come with legislation that's currently in the Tennessee legislature about arming teachers. Can you talk to me about what you believe is appropriate as far as, arming teachers versus putting officers in schools?
Yeah, arming teachers, that's a debate every time a school shooting comes up, and at our community college we have armed as well. If a teacher wants to take on the liability responsibility and is willing and able to do that, it's going to be a small percentage of teachers probably to do that. Most teachers get hired on to teach, mentor, and train and instruct their kids. They don't necessarily get hired on to think that they have to shoot somebody or use deadly force in a high critical stress incident. Also, it puts the teachers at risk if they're standing there with a gun. An officer arrives on scene, all he knows is a man with a gun. That teacher could be an innocent casualty just thinking that he's the active shooter that's going on in the process. But if these teachers are willing and able, I think they need to be highly trained, highly skilled, use of force. They've got to go over use of force. Probably hired on as a reserve, because I don't know what liabilities fall under that. Would the schools protect him liability-wise? So if he was a reserve, law enforcement got all the training that officers do, and I'm talking use of force, force-on-force, scenario-based training, because the body acts under stress in a whole different manner than you concealed carry permit class. You just shoot a piece of paper that's static right in front of you. You're not shooting at something, somebody's shooting back at you. So blood pressure goes up, auditory exclusion, tunnel vision. You don't know how your body's going to react under stress. Children running everywhere. It's a critical, bad environment to be in, and you don't want any innocent casualties because somebody just wasn't trained.
Okay. Anything else that you want to add or talk about that you feel is important as well?
No, I think that should cover it up, unless you had any more questions.